What up, everybody? Welcome to Philly on PHLY Sports with Jon Marks. What is going on? The NFL season starts tonight. NFL, it's back. Professional football is back. And then we only have to wait 24 hours for the Eagles. Are you kidding me? So we have a big show today. Zach Berman's going to join us live from Brazil. That's coming up in about 20 minutes. So don't go anywhere. We'll get the latest. And is it safe? Is it secure? They're bringing in more security to make sure that the players are okay. We'll talk to Zach about all of that and some Eagles news coming up here in a little bit. Phillies win. They get a 2-game sweep of the Blue Jays. Tyler's going to be along in a second. We'll get all the updates and the highlights from all those things. And I actually have to apologize to, I would even say, the listeners, the viewers right now, because of the shirt. This is one of these shirts so this is the first time I've actually worn it, and I've had it for more than a year, and every time I want to put it on, my wife vetoes it. She hates it. A lot of my shirts that I wear, and you can maybe not even see it, but it's a flower. It's floral shirts. I have a lot of floral shirts for whatever reason, and flannel shirts. And so I got this. This was an app special. I like to shop on the app when stuff goes on sale. Normally, there's a reason why it's so inexpensive. So got this shirt, liked it, and my wife kept vetoing it. And I'll say that this is definitely one of these shirts, at least for me, from my eye, that looks better on the hanger. Because when I actually got here and I'm wearing it, I'm being like, I don't know if I like this shirt anymore. And I guess it doesn't. Is it interfering with the camera? I mean, it's kind of busy. I know I'm a novice and I'm a new to the whole video digital aspect of all this stuff. I've never done TV on a regular basis. So I don't have anybody advising me on what to wear. Am I okay here? Is this going to work? Am I going to confuse people?
No, listen, it looks fine. I'm just going to tell you this. So little behind the scenes, our cameras to focus use a format, and it's called zebra lines. And, it looks like, how zebra stripes, right? It's lines across you, the desk, the stuff behind you. It tells us what we're focusing on, right? What has the primary focus. I turned the camera on this morning, and all it wanted to do was go to your shirt.
Focus on everything.
All it wanted to do was your
no.
shirt.
Well,
so no, the shirt looks fine. I'm just
it's a fine looking shirt.
Yeah, I don't know how the cameras
maybe not good for camera work. Maybe not good for the optics of the show, which is
would look really nice for an evening in the Caribbean. It would look like if you're at an all-inclusive and you go out at night and you have a nice dinner, would look great.
Right. Summer vacation.
Yes, right.
Let me take the sleeves here, unbutton it, maybe roll it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Because it's a lightweight shirt. It is very comfortable, very soft as well.
That's what I'm saying. I have similar shirts to that as well, and I bring them out for
like that.
I basically bring them out for vacation.
All right. Well, thank you. I apologize. I will take this out of the rotation. This is something that I will have to learn more about. Well, listen, Phillies win. Let me say this about the Eagles before we get to Tyler and we'll get an update. I go into the beginning of the NFL season feeling really, really confident about this team. And some of it is wishful thinking. You never want to start off the season slow. And just because you start off the season maybe 2-2, lose the opening game or whatever, like you can easily recover from that, right? But with this team in particular, with the stuff that's happened with Nick Sirianni, and like the team's one thing, the quarterback and the coach, that relationship is the relationship. But I know this town, I know this city, I know the impact that sports radio and now digital content, digital TV like PHLY. So when you watch NBC Sports Philadelphia or any of those shows, there's not a lot of negativity. There's just they cover a lot of information. It's not like the negativity of a WIP, of a PHLY, if things get off to a slow start here. And I'm just telling you, if this isn't a good start to the season, you can forget about it. Because if there's already questions about the coach from the team and from the fan base, no one is going to give him any kind of benefit of the doubt. Nick Sirianni is getting no benefit of the doubt this year. So, of course, it's important to start off the season, in particular this year, quickly and on a high note. But I really, really like kind of the story of this team, which is totally fell apart, historic collapse last year. And now there's a lot of people, and you can start right there with Jalen Hurts, that have a lot to prove. And this offense has a lot to prove. They're too talented, and they have a new offensive coordinator. If they were bringing back Brian Johnson and they were going with Nick Sirianni and they didn't make any changes, I would be very skeptical. But they did. And sometimes even what some would consider minor tweaks, because there hasn't been a ton of fanfare about Kellen Moore coming in here. But even a new offensive coordinator that knows what the hell he's doing, somebody that knows how to call plays, not just calling one play after another, realizing that one play sets up another, has a good role to what he's doing. I don't think it's been talked about enough. And I feel really, really confident about this Eagles team this year. And this is going to be one of the better teams in the NFL. I hear a lot about the Lions. Obviously, the 49ers have a ton of talent, and they're a well-run organization. Kyle Shanahan's a great offensive mind. I'll put the Eagles up there with anybody in the NFC right now. Don't give me the Detroit Lions. I know they're talented, all right? Jared Goff's the quarterback. We'll see what happens when the bullseye's actually on them this year. They'll make the playoffs. They're a good team. But the Eagles, outside of the Niners, I would say that they're the second best team in the NFC. So I feel great heading in to the season. So we have a game tonight, Kansas City hosting the Ravens. And we have Zach Berman coming up here in about 10, 15 minutes. But let's get to Tyler. What you got, Tyler? What happened yesterday and last night?
Yeah, real quick, before we get to what happened last night, you talk about Kellen Moore. The offense, when he was with Dallas specifically, we know Dallas throws the ball a ton, regardless of who the offensive coordinator is. But 4 years as Dallas's offensive coordinator, the team averaged almost 28 points per game, which was second best to just the Kansas City Chiefs. And as either the quarterback's coach or the offensive coordinator with Dallas in 5 years, they had the fourth most passing yards per game, 256.
Yep. Yeah,
you expect offensive improvement this year for sure.
Oh, they better. And make no mistake about it. If the Eagles go to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, it's going to be because Jalen Hurts gets back to being the player we saw at the tail end of 2022. A lot of people I don't want to say don't mention it, but don't remember. Through 13 games last year, wasn't Jalen Hurts the MVP front runner or through?
Yeah, he was.
I mean, he was the front runner for the MVP, so it's not like he wasn't playing great last year.
Yeah, he was good last year. And if you want to say it was like a statistical maybe step back from 2022, that's fair because he was really, really good in 2022 and he was good in 2023. But you're right. He was in the MVP conversation along with Lamar Jackson for a bulk of last year.
Yep. By the way, Philly with Jon Marks, presented by Bet Parks. Get all your favorite lines and everything else at Bet Parks right there on the app. Eagles are 2.5-point favorites still. We'll talk about the game tonight. We'll make our pick on the game tonight. But what do you got there, Tyler?
All right, let's get to last night's or yesterday afternoon's game, a 3 o'clock start in Toronto to wrap up a quick 2-game series. And, John, I think this is starting to become a little bit of a trend. I guess, as Lou Brown said, in Major League, that's 2. If you win tomorrow, you've got a winning streak. Well, if it happens again, in the next game for the Phillies, maybe you've got something cooking. Kyle Schwarber has been a man on a mission the last couple of nights. He had 8 swings between the 2 games in the series in which he hit the ball 103 miles an hour or more, including 4 home runs, 2 leadoff home runs, and none maybe louder than the one that he hit in the 9th inning of Tuesday's game. But this one, he followed it up in pretty dramatic fashion. Not bad either.
Oh, man, he's done it again. Towering home run to start today's ball game. 1-0 Phillies. 31 career leadoff home runs with the Phils. 13 this year. And he's up to 44 for his career.
44 leadoff home runs in his career. As they mentioned, that courtesy of our friends at NBC Sports Philadelphia and the Phillies, of course. Tom McCarthy does a great job. I'm a big Tom McCarthy fan, by the way.
Me too. Me too.
Kyle Schwarber now has 3 of the 4 highest total seasons of leadoff home runs in Phillies history. It's Kyle Schwarber in 2022. It's Jimmy Rollins. It's Kyle Schwarber in 2023. And now it's Kyle Schwarber in 2024. He is an exclamation point for this team to start the most games.
13th leadoff home run of 2024. That ties Alfonso Siriano's single season record. So we're talking about Major League Baseball history. He just tied yesterday with it. And I'd be surprised if he doesn't break it before the end of the season. There's still a lot of games left to go. He's 9th all time. He just tied Brady Anderson. All-time leader is Ricky Henderson, had 81. George Springer, 2nd all-time with 60 leadoff home runs, which it's a lot. Schwarber's an amazing player. I mean, he really, really is. He has been, when they signed him, I was like, I know he doesn't hit for average, but he's got power, on-base percentage, he walks, he's a great leader or whatever. But then when he actually comes here, he was better than advertised as a leader. He's unbelievable. He's great in the clubhouse. He is the leader of this team. And then the production as a Philly, and I know the power numbers aren't what they were in previous years, I guess, but he's on pace for a career high in RBIs. He's 89 RBIs this year out of the leadoff spot. So the dude's been unbelievable. He really has. I love Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, I think that, they talk about a non-traditional leadoff hitter. The amount of time that this argument has been had, it's not worth having anymore. The guy is clearly the right call at the leadoff spot. He's going to go 0 for 4, 3 games in a row, or he's going to have a 1 for 12 with 8 strikeouts. But when he puts you on the board early, when he makes it 1-0, it really is. It's a tone setter for this team. Jimmy Rollins was a tone setter.
Yep.
Kyle Schwarber's a vastly different tone setter, but he's a tone setter nonetheless.
Right. And the prototypical leadoff hitter, even with steals coming back, I get that you can. This isn't 1985 with Vince Coleman and Ricky Henderson and Willie McGee, to where like they're hitting 3, 4, 5 home runs a year. I know Ricky had more power, but you know what I mean? Like this is a much different game.
You also have 2 guys in your lineup who, when healthy and maybe hitting to their potential, healthy Trey Turner and hitting to his potential Bryson Stott, you've got 2 guys who could steal 40 bags for you.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're not at lack of stolen bases. Johan Rojas is probably going to steal 25 a year.
Yeah. And the reality is that he's most comfortable in the leadoff spot. Right. And that's very clear. Look at his production. So, yeah, I feel like that can we finally close the book? Now, last year, he was batting under 200 for a lot of the year. And I thought at that case, it was like, well, don't you have to move him around to try to get him comfortable? It's not working in the leadoff spot. He got hot and it ended up taking care of itself towards the end of the year. He's had a really good year this year.
All right, 1 run in the first for the Phils. They do strand a couple of runners. In the bottom of the first, the Blue Jays jump on Christopher Sanchez. They scored 2, but not like what the Phillies have done a lot lately. They scratched and clawed and fight their way back. They win this game 4-2. But, John, before we get out of this game, one maybe pressing issue, and it's a conversation we talked about a lot yesterday on the Phillies postgame show. Curious your thoughts of a potential IL stint in the near future. But here's Bryce Harper, hit by pitch early in the game, ended up having to exit the game later, and Edmundo Sosa comes in. But here's Bryce Harper early in the game.
But he's out there again. Ouch. Got it.
And he's hit in the other elbow with that pitch.
Looks like it probably hit his funny bone. Sort of will paralyze you a little bit. Hopefully that's all it is.
Christian Bermudez comes out to check out Bryce Harper.
Oh, this fastball just missed by a foot and a half.
Yeah,
man.
Ended up going back out to first in the bottom half of the inning, but was removed from the game. Rob Thompson called it precautionary elbow stiffness. If you've ever been hit with a pitch in the elbow, your arm locks up. Like you're almost
numb, right?
You're in like a totally locked up setting where you have to basically push your arm down with your other arm to make it, free flow again. Yeah, you're numb. You got the tinglies in your elbow. It doesn't feel good, and most importantly, you're really not going to be able to swing the bat. But defensively, you're especially playing first base. You got nothing.
Honestly, I'm glad they got him out of the game. I didn't want him to play yesterday. He winced the night before when he took that swing, and it's like, all right, well, there's clearly something going on. They've alluded to it. He's got wrist and elbow injuries. Like, As far as a stint on the IL, if he's forced to do it, he's calling the shots here. If he doesn't want to go on, like if he has an MRI and there's something legitimately going on, that's how you get him on the IL. If he's just got soreness, he'll get cortisone shots. He'll get some of the when they do they put the plasma and the PRP therapy and this stuff. He had that done before he had Tommy John surgery. He'll do all this stuff before he misses time. So I don't expect him on the IL. I mean, there's enough time to where he could do a 10-day and then come back, but that only gives him 3 or 4 series left in the season. And you know how tough it is sometimes when you're coming off the IL, especially him. This is such a mental game for him. When he's on, he's on. But when he's not, it's in his head. He constantly is tinkering with his stance and his swing and things like that. I just hope he's okay.
I think you're right. I think the biggest holdup in him potentially getting a couple days to rest or maybe potentially even hitting an IL stint is Bryce Harper.
Yep.
Right? He's a gamer. He's going to play through it if he thinks he can. We had a comment in our chat yesterday that basically said, save Bryce Harper from himself.
You have to.
And you know, I think the unfortunate part is with Alec Bohm banged up as well, you have to have one of a couple things. Either Bohm has to be ready to come back shortly, Harper has to play through it, or one of these two guys has to hit the IL because you can't be down 2 position players.
You're right. And not make a corresponding move. You're too short. Yeah, and they don't have, it's not like they have a day off coming up until next week. They're in Miami for 4. I would not play him today. But I said that yesterday and that he was in the starting lineup. So who the hell knows? But it was a good win. Yesterday was the template for how this team's going to win. Sanchez 7 innings, Hoffman pitches the 8th, Estevez pitches the 9th, and they look dominant.
Yeah,
Hoffman looks much better pitching the 8th than the 9th. Like right now, I feel like the bullpen's slotted. You have a couple guys who can go 7th inning. You have a lefty and a righty that can go the 7th inning. Hoffman's your 8. Estevez is your 9th. If your starter can give you 7 innings, boom. And Sanchez is good.
Well, they're 32-1 now when their starter goes 7 innings, and they're 32-0 since opening day. Zach Wheeler went 7 innings on opening day, took the loss. Well, the team took the loss. He pitched really, really well. Since then, they have not lost a game in which their starting pitcher has gone 7 innings or more. It's a recipe for success, right? Like especially come playoff time. Roster shrink, bullpen shrink. You're hyper fixated on your starter and like 4 or 5 guys out of the bullpen. And the guys that you're going to turn to, it starts with Orion Kerkering, it's Matt Strahm, it's Jeff Hoffman, it's Carlos Estevez. And you can maybe see what you feel comfortable with Jose Alvarado or whomever down the stretch. But it's those 4 guys plus your starter that are going to get the bulk of the innings.
Yeah. Yep. Feel good about it. All right. Zach's going to join us coming up here in a second. By the way, Tyler Phillips was optioned back to the minors. He was 3-0 in his first 25 innings with an ERA under 2. Then we had that 4-hit shutout. Since then, 23 earned runs in 11 2/3 innings. It's the highest ERA for any Philly over a 4-game span in 30 years. Local kid, hope he can go back down there and get his confidence back or whatever, because he did look good for his first month. But you know what happens? The league adjusts to you, and they're like, all right, well, this is how we're going to hit him. So there you go. All right, we'll get Zach punched up live from Brazil coming up in just 1 second. But let's listen, it's allergy season. I was outside with my daughter yesterday, and I started feeling it. I did. A lot of pollen, the ragweed, everything else that's out there right now. So here's what you can do with Rite Aid. They're taking care of you right now. Right? Just, you have any questions, go to your local Rite Aid. All right? Talk to the pharmacist. There's a ton of things that you can get over the counter that fights off the allergies, right? Whether it's medication, antihistamines, or whatever, like that'll get you started. And then from there, if it's not helping, talk to the pharmacist. Pharmacist can point you in the right direction, get you going. Also sign up for Rite Aid Rewards emails to receive email pollen alerts for your area. Use a dehumidifier. Shower frequently. I know Tyler's checking pollen counts every morning just to see. Close your windows, right? If you have allergies, I know it's nice to sleep with your windows open right now. I agree. But close your windows, all right? It'll make you feel better. Try nasal rinse. So if you have allergies, I'm telling you, head to Rite Aid, ask a pharmacist for a different type of allergy medication if it's not working for you. So check it out, Rite Aid right now, and for everything else too. I mean, I love going to my local Rite Aid right there in Royersford, Pennsylvania, to get everything that I need. and everything that I need. All right, Ace Hardware. I have 2 left thumbs, 2 left hands. Whatever cliche that I have, I can't fix anything, and I feel pathetic sometimes. I do, but you know what? When something breaks, you got to have somebody that you can trust, right? And that's Ace Hardware Home Services. Whether it's a leaky pipe, air conditioning issue, faucet, whatever it is, Ace Hardware Home Services brings helpful home to your home, right? And it's about somebody that you trust, because you're like, all right, well, are they going to know what they're doing? Are they going to rip me off? Trust me. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. It's the power of the Ace brand brought right to you, the most trusted provider of home preservation services. Wide range of residential maintenance, installation, and home repair services are available. I'm talking about plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical, and there's free estimates on everything. So you call them, get them out there, go to the website. They come out, they give you an estimate. You trust them, boom, you do it. Emergency services available when you need them the most. Trust and satisfaction guaranteed. They make it right no matter what. Local. It's a local thing. That's what Ace Hardware. It's your people in your community. That's who's serving you, right? They're dedicated to keeping you comfortable in your home. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online, acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project right now. Do we have him? Is he live? Do we have Zach Berman?
We do.
We have him live, and he is in Brazil. And he is covering the Eagles for PHLY and PHLY Eagles. And he joins us live right now. What's up, Zach?
Jon, great to see you. Congratulations on the show. Pumped that you're part of PHLY. I've been trying to get the right backdrop here so your audience can see Sao Paulo. This could be a building on Chestnut Street for all you know, but I promise you I am in Sao Paulo.
You're in Sao Paulo. There's been a lot made of the safety and security of the team and fans, and a dangerous city to be in. Would you say that's been exaggerated? I know you only got there yesterday, so you haven't been there. I know some other people have been there for an extended period of time. What are people saying, and what's the atmosphere like?
Yeah, I heard so much of that going into it, right? I don't know if it was scare tactic or whatnot. The reality is there's 22 million people in the Sao Paulo area. Like it is huge. That's my number one big takeaway is it's not like there's a city center. It is huge. So I imagine that there are parts here where I got to be careful in, and all the normal warnings of like, you're don't have your phone out, your wedding band, things like that. But I got to say, in my 24 hours, I haven't been gallivanting around town, but I haven't. It hasn't been anything that's been alarming thus far. If we catch up tomorrow, I might have more for you then. I'm going to the stadium today, so I'll see more of the town today.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw you tweeted this morning a picture. I guess it was from your hotel room. A magnificent view. This amazing bridge. That was like it was in the picture. Now, did you have to send that to your wife or somebody to tweet it out?
Yeah, let's be clear in case the Brazilian government's watching your show right now. I did not tweet that. I sent that picture to my wife. I wish that were my hotel room. I went to the top floor of the hotel where they have a view to get that to show Sao Paulo. My hotel room is behind. You can see someone's office. That's about it. But but yeah, it is. I did not tweet that out. I sent that to my wife. She's handling my account.
Good. You definitely need help with your social media. You got a lot going on there. Are there Eagles fans all over the place, Zach?
On my flight down, so I flew Philly to Miami to Sao Paulo on a Tuesday night. So you're talking 3 days before the game. Eagles fans on the flight, without a doubt. There are going to be. I keep hearing from fans who are going to be down here now. The stadium capacity is a little under 50,000, and a lot of the people going are Brazilian people, right? So I don't think it's going to be like an Eagles home game, where they can buy out all the tickets to Washington or Los Angeles. But I definitely have seen Eagles fans making the trek to South America.
Because you know how it is. I wasn't in London, but it seemed like that Eagles fans stick out like a sore thumb, and there was a ton of them. They're gonna blend in a little bit more. It seems like on this trip.
Yeah. Now I was at that London trip. A, there are more tickets. B, there are more London games, right? Right. And so my understanding is that a big part of them coming here was to bring football to Brazil, and most of the audience, or I'm sure most of the attendants, are going to be Brazilian football fans. But having been on the beat for 13 years, every road game during these 13 years, Eagles fans do stick out like a sore thumb in a good way, right? I mean, they're not wallflowers. They're not, they're not quiet during the game. They're not quiet on the streets. So I imagine Eagles fans are going to stick out here in Sao Paulo.
All right, so practice. You were nice enough to jump on because you gotta head out on the bus. So when is practice today? Practice is it's an hour difference. So practice is an hour an hour and a half or in 2 hours.
Yeah. So practice is 1:30 p.m. local time. So 12:30 Eastern time. Nick Sirianni will speak at 12 Eastern time. Jalen Hurts and a few others after the walkthrough. The reason I need to head out is traffic here is notoriously bad. It's going to take me about an hour and a half to get to the stadium. Tomorrow, the NFL, I'm on all the NFL shuttles. I'm not like renting a car here. But the NFL is putting 2.5 hours in to get to the stadium. I was talking to like some Eagles officials this past week. It's the same thing for them. They're putting a lot of time in to get to the stadium from the stadium. But yeah, practice is 1:30 local time, 12:30 Eastern time.
How far of it, if there was no traffic, how far away is the stadium? Do you know? Yeah,
from where I am, it's about 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
Where the Eagles are, I think the Eagles are staying a little closer to the airport. I think it's about 30 minutes from the Eagles. But there's, in doing my pre-trip work on Sao Paulo, it's always rush hour here. So there's always gonna be traffic.
22 million is a lot of people. All right, let's get to some game stuff here. I don't know if you were surprised, but Devin White, all of a sudden he's injured and he's not traveling and he's not going to play. Did he just popped up on the injured list, right? Did this take you by surprise? Did you know that there was an injury that was potentially going to keep him out of the game?
It took me by surprise that he didn't travel with the team. That the injury is keeping him out. That had not been the case earlier this week in practice per se. As far as his role, you had heard whispers that like Nakobe Dean was coming on. Nakobe Dean played real well those last 2-3 weeks, and I'll say Devin White, outside of the name appeal, I don't think he played poorly. I don't think he distinguished himself per se, right? And Nakobe, I thought Nakobe's last week at training camp was the best I've seen him play in his 3 years here. That said, the Devin White news did take me by surprise because I had no indication before this that he wasn't going to travel.
So I saw a number of people, I believe including you, had tweeted out, and I saw an Albert Breer tweet who said there were murmurs that the Eagles could trade Devin White before the cutdown. Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean were both really good in camp. So White missing the opener won't help his case for a big role in the defense. Would he have not started in this game if he was healthy?
It's a real good question. I can't report that. My former colleague at the Inquirer, Jeff McClain, he reported that Dean would have started regardless. I could certainly see that having been the case because, like I said there, and as Albert said, like Dean really came on during that last week of camp, and I think Dean and Devin White kind of play more of the same position, but I think it would be I think it would be foolish for the Eagles to cut him. And we'll see what happens with the injury. My perspective on this is the Eagles don't have a particularly good linebacker core, right? And they haven't in the past. And we've seen times in the past where they've had a guy start 2-3 weeks and they have to make a change, right? I mean, I used to make a joke with TJ Edwards. Every year it was like he wasn't given the starting job and he'd become the starter at some point. Yeah. Last year there was that game against Washington. Nicholas Morrow had 3 sacks. He didn't start the season as the starter. He got replaced 3 weeks later after the 3-sack game. So the point is that Devin White has been a high caliber player in the league, regressed last year for sure. But I'm not ruling out him contributing to the Eagles this year.
At some point, they're probably going to need him. It's great what you're hearing about Nakobe Dean. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. So once the real games start tomorrow, we'll see what he does. But if he has another injury issue, like you had said, Eagles were efficient on practice squads last year, looking for starters. So it's good to at least have a guy that has experience and has played at a high level at some point.
Absolutely. Like, Nakobe Dean, and I liked Nakobe Dean coming out of Georgia. I was bullish on him going into last season, and I liked the way he played this summer. He hasn't proven it in the NFL during 2 years, and I think he would tell you that. Zach Bond has not been a starting, inside linebacker during his 4-year NFL career. He's mostly been like a special teams guy, edge / inside hybrid player. Devin White's the most experienced player that they have there, and he does have athletic tools. So yeah, I'm not one of these people who are saying like I'll move on from him. I actually think Devin White can have a role this year.
You mentioned Zach Bond. As somebody that watches the preseason games, but wasn't paying as close attention to training camp maybe than I have in a couple of other years. What should we expect from Bond? What kind of a player he is? Who does he remind you of? Who's a good comp for a Zach Bond?
It's a really good question because I think he was a little surprised too that he was an inside linebacker. I think when he signed here, he thought he was going to be more of an edge rusher. The comp that I heard when he came here was Andrew Van Ginkel. Andrew Van Ginkel, who was really productive for Vic Fangio last year in Miami, got a contract with the Vikings and has like that versatility. Both went to Wisconsin, both played the same role at Wisconsin. For Eagles fans who aren't as familiar with Zach Bond, aside from the fact that he has great initials, I would say that what really jumps out to me is like he's a physical player. And he has that edge rush background playing on the inside. He has more size certainly than your Nakobe Dean, Jeremiah Trotter Jr.'s, right? I mean, he's a legit like 6'2", 240. He can move decently. But the thing that I kept hearing, and I saw it in practice, but talking to the coaches about this and other players, like his toughness, that's what comes through.
Start of the show, I had mentioned the confidence that I had in this team this year, and the talent on the offense, there's no doubt about. We'll see what happens with the offensive line if they can get back to kind of the form that we thought we expect them to be year after year. But Kellen Moore, they brought in Vic Fangio, and I think Fangio is going to be an upgrade, obviously, over what they had before. But this is a players' league, and if you don't have talent, you can be a great coordinator. You're only going to be able to get so much out of those players, and I think Fangio is going to do that. But Kellen Moore, to me, was such a great under-the-radar almost hire by the Eagles just because they have everything you're looking for on offense. Now it's a matter of, all right, what can we do to get them back to the 2022 level? What can we do to get Jalen Hurts back to 2022? What is your impression of Kellen Moore so far? And talking to the players and getting a sense what they think, does it feel different as far as the players and the offense and everything else compared to what you were watching last year?
Yeah, I don't think they showed much of anything during, obviously the preseason, but even in training camp, they kept a lot closer to the vest. And I think for me, for you, for the fans, there is going to be a noticeable difference in terms of the way the offense looks before the snap. I think some of the route concepts, I think you'll see less of a dependency on the deep ball. I think you'll see more of the short and intermediate game incorporated. A big thing we keep hearing is they'll have more answers at the line of scrimmage for the blitz. Certainly, pre-snap motion is going to be featured far more than it's been in the past. And it's not just motion. You'll see shifts in formations, right? And I think, too, you're going to see these receivers move around. Like, if I'm giving you a prediction for this year, I think Devontae Smith is going to have a really big year relative. Now, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver back-to-back years. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's if he's a 100-catch player this year, because I think the way they use him, the volume that they're going to get him, I'm expecting a big year from Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people actually saying that maybe he becomes more of wide receiver 1A or 1. And if you look at some of the bets, the over-unders or whatever, it seems like that people aren't expecting as much out of A.J. Brown this year, in large part to Saquon Barkley. Because, Zach, we know that the dynamic he brings in the running and the passing game as a receiver. So if he's going to get 500 yards receiving or something like that, you're taking the yards from somewhere, right? So potentially AJ comes back down to earth a little bit. It never feels like Dallas Goedert is utilized properly in the passing offense. So Kellen Moore and Jalen are going to have a lot of options in this passing game. How much How much running how much of a run focus do you think that Kellen Moore will have in this offense? Because I've always contended that this team is better when they can run the ball, and they really need to play off of the run rather than really what most teams do, which is play off of the pass.
Yeah, I do think you're going to see them. I do think you'll see them run the ball. And the reason I hesitated there is because I think the offense could look different on a week-to-week basis. You know, when you kind of pick your head up at the end of the season, if they get the volume of plays that they're hoping for, then everyone's going to get their touches. And when I say everyone, I should say Saquon, AJ, Devontae, and Dallas. I don't think your Jahan Dotsons, your Will Shipley's, Kenny Gainwell's, like, you know, you might see some reports like Gainwell's going to have a role in this offense. I'm kind of skeptical that outside of the big three, the big four, if you will, there's going to be the ball to go around. I think this is going to be like, you know, one of those NBA teams where you look at the stats after the game and it's the same 3-4 guys who are getting up all the shots. So I to answer your question, I do think they're going to run the ball. They paid Saquon Barkley $13 million a year to be a major piece of this offense. He's not a vanity signing for them. I mean, he's going to be here for 2 years, and I think they're going to do everything they can to run the wheels off, if you will, for like those 2 years. Like, I think we'll see what happens year 3 of the deal, but I think this year and next year, Saquon is going to be a 275, 300 touch player for the Eagles.
Zach Berman's live in São Paulo, Brazil, as the game is tomorrow night. And we haven't actually talked about the game, so I'm not going to ask for your prediction, but your confidence level the day before the game going in.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Eagles are good, and I think they're healthy going into this game. Offensively, they're loaded. Now, the last time I saw the Packers, they were like a juggernaut in the playoffs, right? I mean, they stuck it to the Cowboys. They went toe-to-toe with the Niners. So this is a real tough game, and I don't have a feel for this Packers defense right now. They replaced their coordinator, Jeff Hafley. They brought in Jeff Hafley, replaced their coordinator from last year. They have some different pieces. Josh Jacobs in there. Jordan Love's taking a step up here. But I look at the Eagles and I say, like, you know, they're going to be a really difficult team to stop. And so I feel good about the Eagles' offense going into this game. My concern is how, like, the reason Vic Fangio's here, from my perspective, is to raise the baseline of the defense. Is like Vic Fangio, he doesn't need to have a top 10 defense. They can't have a bottom 10 defense with Vic Fangio. Right. But I'm worried. I'd be a little worried if I were an Eagles fan about this matchup with Eagles defense against them. In particular, the middle of the field. I think Matt LaFleur is really going to try to take advantage of the Eagles in the middle of the field. The one player, he doesn't get a lot of attention, but I would watch out for Packers tight end Luke Musgrave, because we talked about the tight ends at the start of the show here, or the start of this hit. Or I'm sorry, we talked about the linebackers. I'm very curious to see Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean in coverage. And I think that's where the Packers are going to try to beat the Eagles, is the middle of the field.
All right. Well, listen, I know you got a shuttle to catch. We're looking forward to your coverage. We'll be following you on social media. Do you jump on the show with the guys later today? Do you do a live hit?
Yeah, I'll be on the PHLY Eagles show. That show's live, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And depending on when the shuttle gets to the stadium, I'm going to text Anthony and I'll see if I can jump on that show, depending. Well, you know, we'll see if I'm out of the shuttle by then.
All right, cool. Appreciate it, brother. Be safe.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right, there he is, Zach Berman, live from São Paulo in Brazil. Well, there you go. All right.
It's one of the hardest working guys I've seen. He said, hey, I'm going to jump on every show today.
Of course.
That's incredible.
That's what you do. That's what you do. You're over there. He's got nothing else to do. I would do the same thing.
He's got a lot of work to do.
Meanwhile, guys like Elliot Shore Parks, I see on Instagram, is he's on another vacation. He's having a great time out there, my buddy Elliot.
I mean, I probably would too.
Me too. No, this is a working trip.
Well, listen, that's why ZB is one of the premier beats in the city.
He is.
And
he's here.
I'm sitting in this chair because I would go on vacation. I mean, listen, I'm going to go do work, but
see, he's a respected journalist as opposed to being an Eagles personality, which is really what ESP is. Less of a respected journalist. Zach is not only an Eagles personality, but he's also a respected journalist. With Bo, is the bro doing the show, I'm guessing, again today? So that's 2 p.m.
I would imagine so.
That's 2 p.m. today, so you don't want to go anywhere. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a cool trip. Like one of the great things about doing a job like this is being able to go to World Series and Super Bowls and things like that. Covering a team and going on every trip is a totally different story. So you think that it's awesome, you get to travel or whatever. Yeah, like you probably like to go to a couple of different trips every year. You don't want to be doing it for every trip. But this is a very unique and a cool one. So like last year, London, Phillies, and Mets, like that's a really, really cool trip, a great experience to go to. But I've been to multiple World Series. I've been to the Super Bowl. I've been to 2 Super Bowls. I was on Radio Row in Minneapolis. I was on Radio Row in Phoenix. I saw the 2008 World Series. I was down there, saw him win. Went back in 2009, was up in New York when I worked with Mike Miss. So yeah, where are we going this year, Tyler Zure? We got to get somewhere.
Yeah, serious. Well, so I will
Milwaukee?
say this. We're going to Clearwater again in the spring. I think I'm allowed to say that. Either that or I just blew our spot up. One of the two. That means you and I have to get we get a trip, right?
Well, I should go to Clearwater with you because I'm a veteran of Clearwater, Florida. Yeah, I've interviewed Bryce Harper more than a few times down there, so maybe this is how we get Bryce Harper on the show.
I think it would make sense too, because then you and I can do our show from down there.
Yes,
and then I can do the Philly show from down there.
Yes, all you have to do is just get
I think you just figured it out.
Yes, I mean I'm not telling you I'm going to sleep on a hotel room floor. I would appreciate accommodations.
Oh, you want okay. Oh, see, that's a little different. You want all the things that go with it.
Early in my radio career, when I would go down to Clearwater, they would have the engineer stay with me. I'd share a hotel room with the engineer.
Okay.
And it got to a point where I was like, listen, I'm a friggin' adult in my 30s. Can I please have a hotel room? Like, our show makes money. Can I have my own hotel room? And they got me my own hotel room. So
yeah, it's a little bit different when either A, you're going on a trip with like friends or family, you stay with whoever, right? Or, if you're in your early 20s, you don't care.
Right.
You crash on the floor. It doesn't matter.
When I went
you get into being an adult, I want my own room. I agree.
2016, we went to Summer League in Vegas when I was working with Anthony, and something screwed up. They screwed up our hotel, and Jamie and I had to share a hotel room for a night or two, and they pulled out. There's only one bed. So no, I'm not doing that.
Well, so from what I've heard, from what Jamie's told us, he is a very loud snorer. Too.
As am I.
So that's got to be problematic.
As am I. He should seek help for sleep apnea. There, Tyler Zurley. All right, we'll finish up with some stuff here, but also listen. Let's talk about the big pickleball tournament that's coming up, which Jamie Lynch will is he training for the pickleball tournament?
Yeah, I've heard he's running the Art Museum steps as we speak.
Oh, yeah, that would be a great bit to get him out there running. But yeah, it's coming up here. We've been talking about it here. TrueMark Financial. This is a really, really cool thing because the TrueMark Financial Care Foundation hosting a charity pickleball event. It's coming up on Saturday. It's in Ambler, Upper Dublin Sports Center, 1:30 to 5, a round-robin, non-competitive event that I'm sure will be very competitive. The reason it says non-competitive is we don't want to scare people off and be like, oh, no, you got to know what you're doing. It's pickleball. You don't know you don't need to know what you're doing. There's going to be a pro out there that'll overview the game, give you the rules, walk you through it. You don't need prior experience. Paddles and balls are even available to use for free. Only costs $50. That benefits the charity. You get a swag bag from TrueMark and all PHLY. And listen, if you want to get a sponsorship, if you have a business, how about this? This is good value. You can have your logo on display at the event. There's a variety of sponsorships from $200 to $1,000. And you say like, hey, listen, I want to come hang out and meet everybody, but I don't want to play pickleball. Well, beer trucks and food trucks on site, and a percentage of the proceeds will all go to the charity. Cornhole, music, other long games, 50-50 raffles, prizes, giveaways. Boom. All right, Jamie Lynch will be playing. I have to see this. Best part, you get a 10% discount if you want to register right now. TrueMark.com/PHLY pickleball. TrueMark.com/PHLY pickleball. Now, I would like to believe that we could beat Zach Berman and Bo Wolf. Forget about Jamie for a second. And we, as I mentioned yesterday, apparently Bo Wolf is a sneaky athletic, but I'm good at racket sports because that's what you do when you're listed at 5'10", and you have a slight build.
Okay.
So yes, I'm good at racquetball, tennis. Haven't played a lot of pickleball, but I'm sure I'll be good at it. So there you go.
Well, see, you talk about the team, the Zach and Bo team, and they might be good, but I think the best athlete on our staff, without a question, is Renee. It's a professional soccer player.
Of course she is. Of course she is.
So I would start with any team that Renee is on to take a victory of a sporting event.
I'd have to see her racket skills. If you're telling me soccer, yeah, of course she's gonna win. Running, endurance, things like that, whatever. I don't know. We need to get lines on these things, by the way.
I mean, if you're playing solo, your lines are going to be better if you're playing but if you're playing doubles and I'm on your team, your line goes way the wrong way.
It changes, right?
Yeah, way the wrong way.
Listen, BetPark Sportsbook, they have lines on everything, right? Pro football, Birds season opener is tomorrow. The one and only sportsbook app that I would ever recommend and that I use is BetParks. BetPark Sportsbook app and online casino has a great offer for new customers to kick off the upcoming pro football season. So if you've used a different app, you haven't used BetParks app, get in right now. All new users, a 50-1 odds boost on your pick to win this year's pro football championship. BetParks.com has all the terms and conditions. 50-1. You can do that math. Can you? Are you good at math, Tyler Zuli? 50-1.
Sure.
That's 50-1.
That's great money.
So if you bet $1, win 50. Bet 100, Here are the top 6 favorites to win the championship this year. Kansas City, San Francisco, Baltimore, Detroit, Cincy, and, of course, Philly. Download the BetPark Sportsbook app and online casino. Right now, get your 50-1 super odds boost on your pick for this year's pro football champion. Limited time offer for new customers, so get in now. BetParks.com has terms and conditions. You must be 21 and in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. You play for fun. You love to win. You bet. BetParks. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So on the BetParks app right now, Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. So that line hasn't moved. I think it's going to go down to 2. My prediction would be it's at 2 before kickoff tomorrow. And I like the Eagles in the game. We'll give official predictions tomorrow. We'll give picks as well for the weekend, for the NFL weekend, maybe even a college football game. Penn State's playing Little Flower Girls of the Poor this weekend?
They're playing Bowling Green. Yeah. So it was funny. On our show the other day, we spent like 58 minutes breaking down the West Virginia game.
So for people that don't know, you do a PHLY PSU show.
Correct. With Adam Telefero and Jason Cabinda.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's a great cast. Yeah, I just set the show up and let the guys talk because they're so smart.
Yeah.
And I'm getting.
You just went to Penn State.
I get out of the way, right? Yeah. That's all it is. But we spent about 58 minutes talking about the West Virginia game and about 90 seconds talking about Bowling Green.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Everybody does it for the most part. So we'll have picks on everything tomorrow, but right now I'm loving the Eagles in the game. So tonight, let's go to the BetParks app for tonight's game, as we have the Chiefs 2.5-point favorites over the Ravens. So the season starts Thursday Night Football, and the Chiefs are favored over under 47, as they'll get their rings or they'll do the ceremony and everything else. I like the Ravens tonight. The Ravens are a really good team, and when you lose in the playoffs and you think about that all offseason and you're training a little bit harder and you're focused on, like, Jesus, how do we get over the hump? We haven't been to an AFC championship game. We haven't been to a Super Bowl. That first week of the season, if there's ever a time that the Chiefs are going to be coming in thinking like, man, it's Super Bowl champions again, and we'll see if they can get back to it. But that first week, I think the Ravens are looking good tonight. I would take the Ravens plus 2.5. And here's one prop for you. Lamar Jackson. I'm a Lamar fan. He's got to do it in the playoffs. Over under 249.5 passing yards. I'm going to take the over on the passing yards because it plays 255, plus 255. So over Lamar passing 249.5, it'll get you plus 255 on the BetParks app right now. So how about that? Who are you liking tonight's game there, Tyler?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because you're right. I think this kind of matchup sits on you from the moment that you say, well, we're the opening game. We're playing the defending Super Bowl champs. They've kind of had our number, in the postseason over the last couple of years.
Last year.
Right, and we're a good team. They're a good team. it's a really interesting, matchup because you either look at it as it's just another game, we're good, let's go beat them, or you spend so much time hyping it up that if you burn all that like excess, energy in the first 8 minutes of the game, you're going to be cooked.
Yeah.
I don't know which Ravens team comes out tonight. I know they're both really good teams. I would probably stay away from the line just because it's hovering that 2.5, 3. I don't particularly like it. If I were to take one, I think I would probably just go Baltimore money line.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably stay away from it. I would probably think about more player props and things like that today. Like, you give me an anytime touchdown scorer bet, I'd probably jump on that. If I were to take one, I probably would take anytime touchdown scorer. Like Isaiah Pacheco's at -105. It's basically even money. Yep. I would probably, put some money on that more so than I would think about the game itself.
Okay. All right. Well, I like Anthony when he was in here with us the other day. We were talking about Spags, and he said that they were young on the back end. So their line is going to be good. Their pass rush is going to be good. But the way that they stopped Lamar Jackson and the Ravens last year in the playoffs was they were not allowing them to throw short and intermediate routes, and that's really the bread and butter of what the Ravens do. So you would think that they would have a better idea what they're going to do coming in and have an answer for that. Spags has been so good in Kansas City. It's amazing. All right, so that's the game tonight. So he might end up being the Eagles' next head coach, depending on what happens with Nick Sirianni this year. But Bill Belichick, you remember he called it snap face or something when he was talking about Snapchat a couple years ago?
Yes.
Bill Belichick's in his 70s. He has never embraced or done anything with social media, as you would probably expect. But that has changed, Tyler Zulli, in large part because he is dating a 23-year-old who probably told him it was a good idea to get on social media. And so that's what he's done. He announced it yesterday. Do you have the video yesterday on the Pat McAfee show?
So the one with the reason that I don't have it currently is because I have to understand what our allowances are for this, and I would rather be safe than sorry. But the overarching idea of the story is wild to me because he is an elderly, at this point elderly, right? He's in his 70s.
He's 72.
It's an elderly gentleman who is now embracing a much younger social media lifestyle.
He's dating a 23-year-old, and now he's on Instagram. And who knows if he's even going to know what's going on. And he called it Instaface, and he was funny. It was very funny. But yeah, he's got a 23-year-old girlfriend. So, why not? Why not get on Instagram? He's going to be spending the year doing media. He's doing more with Pat McAfee.
And I think he's going to be really good on the game day. Not game day. He's doing a Friday show with Peyton Manning, correct?
And he's doing, what's the other thing? He's also doing the 33rd team, whatever that website is or whatever.
Sure.
But I think used in the right situation, he can be really, really good. You can't put him out there for personality or whatever because most of the studio shows
are
out there.
X's and O's guy.
Right. Like Terry Bradshaw, he doesn't know what he's talking about anymore if you're going to pay attention to any of these shows or whatever. But as far as analysis and insights to the game, probably nobody better than Bill Belichick if he's able to actually take it and then deliver that message or deliver it to the audience, which is, that's going to be up to the producers and whatever he's doing. But I think he could be good short term. He's going to want to get back in coaching just as soon as he can.
Now I'm curious though, because, and I don't know, I think maybe things just didn't line up last year, this offseason for him. There were some openings that I thought he would have worked within. Atlanta specifically, I thought he may have been the front runner for that. They didn't seem to want him.
No, a
lot of teams didn't seem to want him.
They talked the owner out of it because the guys that were talking the owner out of it, ultimately Bill Belichick would have come in and taken their power. So it's easy to see why they were swaying. Bill struggled at the end in New England. He has only
sure.
himself to blame, the personnel. He's obviously a great coach, but picking players, drafting players, things like that wasn't ever his strong suit. Tom Brady, for a lot of years, made up for a lot of the GM issues that Bill Belichick created for the team. But like Atlanta, see, I want Belichick to go to a team that can actually win. Atlanta's not winning anything with Kirk Cousins, with Penix after they draft him. Like Philly, the Cowboys, he needs to go to a team that's ready-made to win, to matter. And that's why I was surprised Atlanta didn't want him, but I'm glad that they didn't, because now he actually has a chance to go to a team that can be something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the draft history, while he was kind of pseudo GM and at times was GM. It's a mixed bag, but it's probably more bad than good.
Well, how much talent does the team have right now? Just look at the team he left.
None. I mean, they have none at all. I mean, I think that, you did a nice job of, Christian Gonzalez, I think, is a home run pick. I think he's going to be a stud corner for a long time. But, like, you drafted a kicker in the 4th round last year.
Oh, he got cut.
Right, and then who ends up getting cut. You get Keyshawn Boutte was a guy that I thought was a great pick at the time, especially like 190th or whatever he was overall. I'm not sure he's an NFL receiver after all. You have Drake May. You don't know what you're going to get with him yet. Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starter, to start the year. I like Jalen Polk a lot out of Washington. But
yeah, he's good.
The team is pretty depleted of skill position players.
That's Bill. All right, and going to a new situation, but if you're a GM that's already in place, why the hell would you hire your replacement, right? Not that he was demanding to run the organization, but there's a certain amount of clout that Bill Belichick is going to have going into an organization, and just because he's not being given full autonomy and power doesn't mean that he's not going to walk in and, like with Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly walked in and was like, I'm not listening to this turd Howie Roseman. Like, screw him. First chance he got, he ran him out of town, ran him in the basement. So that's the last thing that you want to do. It's really interesting. I was thinking about this, right? Because his girlfriend's 23 years old. He's 72. And you know what? God bless him. More power to him if that's something that he wants to do. All right? But I'm like, how old are her parents? So I'm a little bit of an older parent, right? Like, I'll be 62 when my youngest graduates from high school. But when my mom and dad, when they had me, they were in their early 20s. My mom was 21, right? So let's just say that they were 30 when they had, her name's Jordan Hudson. Let's say that her parents were 30 when they had her. Bill Belichick's 20 years older than their parents are. How, like, come on. You're bringing Bill Belichick home to your freaking family?
It's weird. I don't really, I'll be honest with you, I don't even really want to expound upon it any further than it's weird.
I'm sure she's a very nice girl. She's obviously nuts to want to date a 72-year-old.
Well, I think it's weird. I think it's weird on his end.
It is weird.
He's a grandfather. You know what I mean? It's
his
just,
kids are older than her.
It's just very, very, very strange to me.
They met on
that's all I have to say.
They met on a flight and they exchanged contacts because they were talking about her cheerleading and philosophy and all this other stuff. But yeah, like, and I'm happily married. But if, let's say, one of my friends was getting divorced and he's in his mid to late 40s, you start dating a 23-year-old. You're dating a 23-year-old because you just want to go out there and party and have fun or whatever. You're not looking for a future. So, Bill's 72 years old. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
So anyway, all right. Well, congratulations to Bill Belichick. I look forward to seeing him on InstaFace and MySpace and everything else. Were you ever on MySpace, Tyler?
It's funny. I wasn't, and the reason that I wasn't was I don't think I was allowed to.
You were too young.
So I was. I guess MySpace was like what a mid to late 2000s.
I was on the radio doing a lot of MySpace.
So 2008, I graduated from grade school.
Yeah, 2006 was like MySpace.
So 2006, territory. I would have been like 12. Probably would have. I guess I was kind of in the age of having it, but
a little bit too young.
Not in any kind of setting other than like we used AIM. Like Instant Messenger a lot.
I was too old for that.
That's what we used. You would write like your away message, and it would be something like, you think you were some edgy emo kid, things spelled wrong, and but The MySpace thing, I think I kind of just missed because I finally started getting into social media, and I was mostly Facebook.
Well, first of all, I want to thank our diehards out there. Diehards, love you. We love you. We love all of our listeners, but diehards, thank you for everything. Now, listen, Anthony's coming up at 10 o'clock today, and he's live at Primo's in Swedesboro, New Jersey. So normally he's on at 9, but I guess, Tyler, because of the hours, the sandwich shop hours, you want to be there for the lunch rush. So he's there from 10 to 12. Last time he was at a Primo's, I saw there was a line outside. It was like they were giving away free Primos. I don't think they were, but man, a lot of people showed up. So check out Anthony today and get your Primo, because I love Primos.
I'll take some, especially if it's free. I'll go get it.
Man, so what if you were going to a Primo's right now and you could order anything? What is it?
The Diablo chicken is so unbelievable.
Good. You see, I'm an Italian hoagie guy. I love Italian hoagies. I love good Italian hoagies. Sharp provolone. They have great rolls. The Thuman meats that are on the sandwiches. Primo's is so good, man. I'm so hungry. I'm still trying to get used to these hours because, you have a certain routine when you're used to getting up the same time every day, and now my routine's totally flushed down the toilet, and I'm leaving the house early, and I really haven't. So, I need to figure something out that I can bring here and then eat, because the kitchen's a whole nother story. I don't want to do anything in that kitchen. It's scary.
Yeah, I am. I am very much. I have to eat quickly.
Yeah,
and it's not because I'm hungry or I get hangry if it gets to a point. I'm going to end up with headaches. I got to go water, food, coffee, and it almost has to be in that order.
Okay.
Otherwise, my whole day is thrown off.
Well, look at you hydrating the body and feeling good.
Oh, I don't know if you're a migraines guy or not. If you get
my
migraines,
wife is.
It's the only way I avoid them.
Yeah.
That's the only way I get it.
No chocolate. Limit the caffeine, and what's the prescription that's out there? The migraine prescription. Yeah, thank God I don't get headaches. Thank God I don't get headaches. So we have a big show tomorrow planned. All right, as it's a game day. Can you believe tomorrow is a game day, a Friday night game?
No, it's funny too, and maybe it's because I'm on a beat that covers the Phillies every day. Maybe it's because the Phillies are good and we expect them to make a deep run into the playoffs.
Right.
But it almost feels like tomorrow's game, even though it's been advertised for weeks, kind of snuck up on us a little bit.
It doesn't feel like the Eagles are playing their season opener tomorrow.
And I think too, the weather is still nice, right? Yeah. I think of the Eagles and I think of 45 and overcast and Sundays where the sun's going down for the 4:00 game. I think that probably has something to do with it too. But I feel like it's still the back end of summer. Yeah, not the NFL season.
Well, those September games, I remember where my season tickets were at the Vet in the 700 level. You would get for the 1:00 games, you'd have the sun in your face the entire game.
Yep.
And you would get sunburn. So those September games where it's still 75, 80 degrees out and sun, it gets chilly at night.
So that's the one thing. So my dad has had season tickets for years. Yeah. And they are, you got to take a plane to get up to their seats.
The old 700 level.
Yeah, but folks, they're under the overhang. Which is great. Keeps you away from the sun. You don't get sunburn. Keeps you away from the rain. Keeps you away from the snow.
Nice.
If the wind is gusting, across, there's nothing you can do. But it keeps your back a little warmer.
Yeah.
And yes, we're way up there, but I'd rather be way up there and protected, from the elements.
You can see everything. All right, Philly with Jon Marks on PHLY Sports. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a comment, please. Comment on what we're talking about. Of course, you can listen on Roku TV as well. And then, Tyler, as soon as we get off the air, we'll put the podcast up there. So if you can't watch, and maybe you're one of our audio listeners, you can get your podcast a little bit after 9 o'clock, and it's still early enough in the day to where we're covering all the stuff that's still happening, or even later on in the day, because who wouldn't want to listen to Philly with Jon Marks? And we're presented by BetParks. Get to the BetParks app right now. And listen, if you like those odds, 2.5 points for the Eagles. You're afraid it's going to go up to 3. It's a good time to get them. If you like the Eagles to win right now, don't wait. I wouldn't wait. I would get it right now because that could go up to 3 before kickoff, and then you get the hook, and then you would just push. All right, Phil's in Miami tonight. We'll have a lot to react to tomorrow. Trey Thomas will join us on the show tomorrow, live at 8 a.m. We will talk to you then. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.